How is Long Island these days?
Oh, it's so different from when I grew up with it. Like I was born in '98, and that I feel is like the last golden age of suburbia.
Hmm.
But Long Island, just everyone's insane, dude.
What do you think is wrong with Long Island? Like, what happened to that place?
Ah, money, greed. It's like keeping up with the Joneses, you know.
Uh huh.
Everyone's looking at each other's driveways and just thinking, I got to do more, I got to do more,
Yep.
and it just turned into that. People lost they lost touch with their neighbors and that whole deal.
Were you aware of all of the serial killers out there?
Oh yeah, yeah, the Go Beach and all that. The Danny Penny case. He's from my hometown.
Oh
I I,
wow.
I went to religion class with that kid.
Oh no way. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Wow.
he,
Yeah.
he went to the other middle school in my town, and then I went to one of the Catholic high schools,
Hmm.
and he went on to our town's high school. But like my family donated towards his trial and all that, like the
Awesome.
GoFundMe.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah, that was amazing. It turned out the way it did. That was kind of shocking.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
So, did you have a story from Long Island, or you have something else?
No, I guess I'm just starting off with where I'm drawing from. I know you always shit on Long Island being the most haunted place, but I got
Hey,
a few stories.
I was even though I was
My,
born there, I do love it there, but it is a really weird haunted house.
I know it's a bubble, dude, and once you get out, you can really see it from the other side. But when you're in the bubble, it's hard to see like how weird it is in terms of like it's nothing like the rest of the world.
It's strip malls, it's serial killers, it's like Plum Island, Lyme disease being created, mad scientists, perhaps time travel, these
Yeah,
extremely rich people in the Hamptons and whatever debauchery they're getting into, like the Diddy parties. It's got everything. It's everything America has to offer condensed into a tiny little haunted peninsula.
yes, 120 miles by 15 miles, just a strip of like 8 million people, or probably more at that point.
Yep.
And it's overwhelming. I think having all that there just drives people crazy.
Yeah.
And I've been so much more at peace just where I'm at in Pennsylvania, and I'm just so happy I left that place. But
Awesome.
my most recent story, well, it wasn't encountered by me, but it was my wife.
Hmm.
Uh, so we have like in our little apartment complex, we have like a little dog park. And we just got a Norwegian elk hound probably a year and a half ago. He's probably a year and a half now, but this was 2 months ago.
Hmm.
And she's walking him late at night. And uh, you ever hear of a hellhound?
I've heard of it, but tell us what it is.
So my wife's Polish, so she has like a different interpretation on this. But she's walking towards the dog park, and then my dog alerts, like his ears go up,
Hmm.
his hairs on the back heckle, and he starts growling. And she's like, "What's going on?" She's like 10 feet from the entrance, and it's like a little 4 foot gate with it's probably 15 feet wide by like 40 feet long, just a little area. And we take him to do his business there because that's where he likes it. And she sees this dog like running along the fence, and it's this big black like wolf thing. She's like, "What the heck?" So low lighting. She thinks someone just left their dog there, just
Hmm.
like running, like someone else is in the dog park. So she looks over to the bench that's like on the right side that borders the street, and she doesn't see anyone there. And she looks back, and the dog's gone. So
Whoa.
she continues to go into the dog park. I'm like, "Why'd you go in?" You just saw like a big, just unattended like wolf like dog in there, and she goes in there and the thing's gone. And my dog's like a goat. Like if he finds a hole in a fence, he's like water. He's through it.
Right.
And so it's not like a wild animal or something was in there. But we live, our apartment complex is right by a cemetery. It's like the neighboring property. Like there's just a little wooded area and like some power lines.
Hmm.
And in Polish folklore, they would have black dogs seen in cemeteries as like guardians.
Mm.
So I'm pretty sure that's like something she saw.
Did it make any sounds or anything else? Like anything
No, well,
weird?
she heard it like walking on the grass,
Uh
like
huh.
but it didn't make any growling or barking. And she saw it clear as day, like walking along the fence because the fence is white
Hmm.
and there's like these little LEDs. So there's enough light there that you can see the silhouette of it like walking. Like it was clearly inside too, because you'd see the body. She said was like unobstructed, and then like the fence was behind it. So it wasn't like it was on the other side of the fence, because it walked right down, like coming along the fence towards her, towards the entrance, and then like turned around. And as she turned to look to the right to where the bench was to see if someone was sitting there, and looked back, it was gone.
Did she notice how it vanished or just disappeared?
It just disappeared. Like when she just turned her head to the right to like kind of just see if anyone was on the right side of it. And then when she looked back to the left, I guess it just vanished.
Pretty gangster of her to walk into the dog park still.
Oh yeah. She just went right. I mean, she's Polish. What do you expect?
Yep. And did the dog calm down after your dog calmed down after all that?
He was on alert until he got into the dog park, and then he was like running around. Then he was normal.
Has she experienced anything like that before?
To my knowledge, no. I've had a few paranormal experiences on the island. I used to work at a yacht club, and the founding year was like 1800s and whatnot. And I've heard so there's a piano upstairs, and I would hear like the keys like play sometimes, some nights, like only like 2 nights or something. You'd hear like the garbage can lids like get open and closed. It wasn't anything crazy, but the place was definitely haunted.
Were there weird stories from the history of the place?
Probably, just being as old as it was, like 1800s and whatnot. There's probably just some souls still lingering around.
Yeah, I mean, there's the rich and powerful out there. When I was doing the whole Gilgo Beach investigation and coming across these legit stories of these secret like orgies that the sheriff was involved in, architects from the area, it was crazy. And some of these victims were there, or at least purchased by some of the people at those parties. And there was like big press conferences about it. I mean, that one sheriff, I always space on his name. He went to jail for actually beating up a kid who stole like porn out of his cop car.
Yeah.
And I think that guy's dark. I don't think a lot of people thought he might be the killer. Actually, I don't think so. I think he just happens to be another victim of Long Island. The part about him that really, is freaky to me is when the sheriff was a boy, he witnessed other boys murder another kid in the woods. And it wasn't just like a murder. It was like they murdered him and then they mutilated the body and they shoved it like the corpse's mouth with rocks. It was just disgusting. And so I'm like, man, that's something to see as a young kid. That's got to disturb you. And then that guy grew up to be the sheriff who, before he was promoted as sheriff, was caught with a hooker in his police car, still got promoted, and then went on to he was overseeing the Gilgo Beach stuff, totally bungled it, and then he went to jail for the things I just talked about, the porn in the car and beating up the kid. Yeah. And then he got out, and then he got arrested again a few years later. I don't know if you knew this, because he was soliciting a male hooker in a park in Long Island. So
I didn't know that. Wow.
That guy is crazy. So that's just one little insight into Long Island. But so I'd imagine, I say all that I imagine the yacht clubs have some crazy stories out there.
Yeah. Oh, in Gilgo too, like especially in the early 2000s. Like I'm no criminal mastermind, but I could definitely hide a body out there. That's how dark and like uninhabited it is. Like especially growing up, like we would drive out there as teenagers too, and no one's out. You might see a car like every 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, dude. Ocean Parkway, right? I'm sure you know Ocean Parkway. That is a very isolated, long stretch of road. You can get away with a lot of things on that road.
You still can. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
And all this stuff happens. And do you know anything about Bayshore, like Fire Island ferries?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so in Bayshore, you have the Fire Island ferry. They take you out to Fire Island and whatnot. On that street on the corner, there's a big apartment complex they just built, but like 10 years ago, it was just an empty lot and 3-foot tall grass. There's a decapitated woman in that lot. They found suspected MS-13 gang activity, and it was there suspected for I think several weeks, because of the decomposition and whatnot. So you could have a headless woman in a lot in such a densely populated area for weeks, and that's just how insane that place is.
Dude, when I was doing the Gilgo stuff, I was driving out there a lot. And at one point I was driving out there on the day of this news had just broken. And I'd left Brooklyn, and it just turns out this lady had also left Brooklyn the day before to go out to Long Island and scatter all of the limbs and head of a person she just dismembered, just in people's yards. I'm like, and I'm out there already thinking about the serial killer and all these bodies lined up on the beach. And just, here's another dismembered person. Here, there's a lady in a suitcase, a corpse in a suitcase at the one of the turnoffs in Long Island. Just like, I know this happens a lot of places, but the amount to which it happens in Long Island is bizarre.
Well, it's one of the most densely populated, like per square mile. I mean, that Jersey and like Rhode Island you're talking about, but I think that contributes to it. And
Definitely.
Also if like that sheriff being corrupt, I mean, if you're seeing that at such a young age, I mean, police, first responders, like I work as a ER nurse. So like this past Friday in my city, like some guy at Lowe's, he pretty much like killed his coworker execution style. He was on the forklift. He shot him and went over to him because he told police he wanted to put him out of his misery. So he went up and put 4 more rounds in him.
Whoa.
Like, that's just like serial killer, like psychopath, like, or not serial, like psychopath, crazy person, like behavior. And I think as a police officer, EMS, you're kind of just exposed to this evil on a day-to-day basis. It, like, if set for the wrong people, it could twist you the wrong way.
Yep. That's crazy. Goodness gracious. Well, we appreciate you calling in and sharing this stuff. It was nice to talk about beautiful Long Island with you.
Yeah. Beautiful is one way to describe it.
If you have another encounter with the Hellhound, please call back.